That wasn't a movie that either one of us was really even interested in. It wasn't a movie that I had heard a lot of good things
and
about.
Apparently, we're still not interested in because neither of us have gone to see it.
I mean, I love you, Matt, but I'm not going to go see a Marky Mark movie. Hey guys, welcome to episode 129 of the Nerd You're Looking For podcast, a weekly nerd culture podcast that discusses the culture through various segments. My name, of course, is Patrick Kuhn, alongside my co-host, as always, that Tyler Hunt. How's it going, man?
I'm pretty exhausted, but well, how are you?
Yeah, it sounded like you had a pretty rough day today.
Yeah, I mean, work was fine. It wasn't bad or anything, but it's never a good day when you get out to your car and you need a new battery. So
yeah, that sucks.
The biggest pain in the ass, of course, is paying for it. The place I went installed it for me, and it took them like 15 minutes. So, I mean, it wasn't as big of a pain in the ass as it could have been, but still, just having to drop the money on that, not expecting to have to, was a bummer. But besides that, I can't complain.
Do you ever go into those places and, like, you have the feeling that they're, like, silently judging you, that
100%.
You couldn't change your battery? Because that has to be, like, the easiest thing that they do all day.
Oh, yeah. I'll be honest, like, I've never changed a battery, but then I watch the guy do it. He just, like, pulls out a socket set and takes it out. And it's like, well, fuck, I could have done that.
Yeah.
But
I've done it before. I mean, I made it a lot more difficult than it needed to be because I'm really not a car guy. But, yeah, that's probably the easiest thing that he had to do that day.
What's funny is I go out to my car and it won't start and I need to get a jump, obviously. So one of my coworkers was leaving at the same time and I asked her for a jump really quick. And she drives, I believe, a Ford Explorer, and we pop her hood, and we can't find the fucking battery.
That is embarrassing.
I know it was. She's like, I've never had to do this before. I'm scratching my head, and I had to Google it and watch this video, and there was like this plastic case that's covering it, and it was a pain in the ass. And like people came over to check to see if we were okay. It's like I know how to jump a fucking car, but I got to find the battery first. So
yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, but all in all, it's taken care of and moving on. How was your week?
Not too bad. Just worked and played Resident Evil. I'm getting pretty close to being done with it. I actually, I'm currently uploading a video right now as we speak. It's out my computer's out in the living room uploading that video, and then the next one I'll finish it tonight, playing it tonight, and then I'll post my last video tomorrow. Yeah,
YouTube's kind of sounded like it's been a bit of a dick to you here lately.
I know. I don't know if it's just because I've been doing longer videos than I'm used to doing, or what, but there was one night where it literally would not. I tried multiple times, and I had to like postpone it and post it a different day because it was really being a huge dickhead. I don't know what the hell the problem is.
It's because your name's not Markiplier or PewDiePie, and you're not anti-Semitic.
That was crazy, man. I heard about that.
Yeah, I've never watched one of his videos before, but what's more crazy to me is that dude makes $15 million a year off his dumb YouTube videos. Oh well.
I've watched a couple of them, but yeah, he's an acquired taste for sure.
Is he? I couldn't even point him out in a lineup to you.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm not onto the YouTube scene, I guess.
No, not really.
I need to watch what I'm saying because one day you're going to take off and you're going to leave me in the dust while people are watching.
I'm going to totally Zuckerberg you for sure.
All right. On that awesome note.
So we start off each episode by kind of checking in with each other. We call it what we're into. So what are you into this week?
I had a long weekend last weekend, so I got caught up on a lot of TV and actually went ahead and binged a show I was kind of on the fence about, the Santa Clarita Diet.
Okay.
Which is a new Netflix show, and it stars Drew Barrymore and Timothy Oliphant. I almost called him Tim, and I don't think we're on those
nickname basis.
Yeah. But it is kind of a unique concept. So I started seeing these things on Facebook that were, I'm sure you saw them too, the advertisements for this show where it's like, I lost this much weight on the Santa Clarita diet. And I thought it was a real thing because I thought Drew Barrymore's career had got to the point where that's the only way she was going to make money is
like Jenny Craig videos. Yeah,
exactly. Just was promoting diets. And then it made it look like it was a cannibal show. To me, but then as it started to come closer to the date and you saw a real trailer, it turns out it's a zombie show, kind of. But anyways, it's about a couple named Sheila and Joel, who are played, of course, by Drew Barrymore and Timothy Olyphant, respectively. They're married. They're real estate agents in Santa Clarita, California. And basically, Sheila becomes a zombie. And chaos ensues from there. The thing about that is that they never explain how she becomes a zombie.
Really?
Yeah, like, I don't want to spoil too much, but, like, she never dies that you see. It's just, in one scene, she's fine, and then there's something that happens when you become a zombie in the show, and I won't spoil it because it's pretty funny when it happens out of nowhere in the first episode, but it just happens to her, and then from that point on, she's got to eat meat, and that eventually turns into her only being able to eat human meat. So, going into this show, I was a little nervous because I think that the zombie genre is getting a little tired. Not
just a tad.
Just a tad. And I think that spoofs and satires of it are getting even more tired. Like we had Warm Bodies and Zombieland, and even those movies were, 5 or 6 years ago at the least. So, it seems like this show's a little late. I mean, Walking Dead's in its 7th season, so I just didn't know that the audience would be here for it. Luckily, they somehow got a pretty decent cast on board for this weird little show. And when I saw Ruben Fleischer directed the first 2 episodes, he was one of the directors on... what does he direct?
Never heard that name before.
Yeah, I wanted to say he was a director on Zombieland, but now I'm
While you're doing that, while you're looking that up, so zombies are a thing in this world, correct?
Well, no. It's one of those things where they're like, they drop the Z word, which most shows like this don't do.
Yeah. They want to come up with their own term for it or whatever.
Yeah, and for the record, he was the director of Zombieland.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he did Gangster Squad and 30 Minutes or Less and a couple other shitty movies. But anyways, zombies are apparently a thing, but it's not like, the guy next door is a zombie and everybody knows. Sheila becomes a zombie, and they're trying to figure out, one, why she became a zombie, because like I said, she never dies. It's almost like she's cursed or something, but you don't find out. And they're sneaking around it's kind of, it has like a Dexter feel to it, because once she has the taste for human flesh, so that goes, they have to basically kill people and hide it in white collar suburbia to keep her fed and full. So it's pretty funny how they do it. I mean, she's not like a walking around moaning zombie. Like, she's just like she was before she quote unquote died, except she has to eat humans. And then you see a difference in her personality. She's more outgoing and upbeat. So they kind of took the concept and made it their own. Like I said, the cast is really great. I was a little worried about Drew Barrymore because I'm not the biggest fan of her, but even she is okay with her one note because she plays it pretty well. And it's probably the best thing that she's done in 20 years. And then Timothy Olyphant's great as well. You've never seen him play a character like this. It's not like he was in The Crazies or Justified where he's kicking ass. He's kind of like a timid suburbia dad. And it's kind of funny to see him play that character. There are some really genuinely funny moments in each episode, and some instances that also make your stomach turn. It's pretty gory, which is pretty cool because it makes it funnier. Because if you were to look at this movie, this TV show, the cinematography is like an ABC sitcom.
Oh, yeah?
So like one minute you're watching an ABC sitcom, and then the next minute you're watching Drew Barrymore eat a half-dead man body. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to season 2. There's a lot of unanswered questions that that aren't solved in the 10 episodes of season 1. So I'm kind of interested to see where they take the mythology of this, because it's not like any zombie mythology I've ever seen. So I know that you love zombies. You're a huge fan. I don't know if you'd be totally enamored with his show, but considering it's 10 10, 20, 25-minute episodes, I do recommend it for you.
Yeah, my wife actually has seen it and has suggested it as well. I've kind of caught some here and there. I don't think I sat down and watched a full episode from beginning to end, but I wasn't that impressed with what I saw, mostly because I am not a fan of Drew Barrymore. She kind of annoys me, so the fact that she's starring in this thing, I'm not crazy about it.
I went through her filmography and I was like, so this is pretty good. What was the last thing she was in that was good? And honestly, probably E.T. Anything that she's done as an adult, like maybe 50 First Dates is okay.
I was going to say, I would point to that. I love Fever Pitch. I mean, she's annoying in it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's full-on Drew Barrymore in it, but I think her and Jimmy Fallon are pretty charming in that movie.
I haven't seen that since theaters, which was...
Oh, really? I love that movie.
2006, so 5 even. So, yeah, it's been a while for me. But anyways, dude, what are you into?
I'm into a show that actually got on your top 10 of all time. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's one of the shows that... I think I mentioned this several times when we were talking about it. The way I kind of came up with my list was I obviously just made a list of like 20 and then kind of whittled it down from there. And this was one of the last ones that kind of just didn't quite make the top 10 for me. It's a show that I am a huge fan of, and it kind of seems silly talking about it now because it's already 12 seasons in, but that's actually kind of the point of why I wanted to bring it up on this episode is the fact that there was a couple of seasons, and I can't really pinpoint. I would have to rewatch the entire from start to finish. But there was a couple of seasons there where I wasn't a huge fan of this show. Like I got on board late. I think they had already had like 2 seasons, and before I even started watching it, because I didn't have FX when it first came out, and everybody was telling me how great it was and that I should watch it. I have a very dark sense of humor and I would love it. And I fell in love with it immediately. I really, really loved it. I thought it went to a whole new level when they got Danny DeVito. The first season is good, but when he comes on, I think it was the second season or maybe he came in partway through the first season.
It was second season.
Okay. Yeah. So he was fantastic. But like I said, it dips in the kind of the middle seasons. And there was a point in time where It's Always Sunny in the Philadelphia and then The League.
Yep.
And I was more excited for The League, which is saying a lot because that show fell off real fucking quick to the point of unwatchability towards the last couple of seasons. I haven't even seen the last season.
I have not either. That show got super awful.
Yeah, I can't even stand it. But there was a point where I was more excited for that show versus It's Always Sunny because it got tired. It was the same thing over and over again. But what they've done, and it's similar to something that I think I mentioned when I talked about South Park in my top 10, is that South Park got to the point where they started to do more higher concept episodes, and that's where It's Always Sunny is at this point. Like the season 12, I don't know if you're completely caught up on it or not.
No, I am working my way slowly through season 11, which just got put on Netflix a few weeks ago.
Cool. So I won't spoil anything, but
I already had something big that just happened spoiled for me, unfortunately. So if you want to talk about it, feel free to. But if you want to leave it spoiler-free.
I assume that you're talking about the whole Mac thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't even...
Okay.
I don't even consider that a spoiler because it's so obvious.
Yeah.
And I'm being vague just in case one of our listeners doesn't want it to be spoiled. But for me, that plot point had been so obvious for so long, and they'd just been kind of dragging it for so long that it was spoiled, and I'm going to use that in quotes for me as well, but I didn't really consider that a big spoiler. Anyways, they've started to do bigger, higher concept episodes, and I think it really works, because deep down it is really about these characters and how bad of people they are, and you're kind of almost the same way that you kind of laugh at Seinfeld, at least the way that I laugh at Seinfeld, that these are not likable characters, and you're almost kind of, you love to hate them in a way. And It's Always Sunny takes that to a whole new level. And these high concept episodes, like one episode, they are watching The Wiz on VHS tape and they get electrocuted, and they wake up and they are black people. And,
Jesus Christ.
and it's also a musical. And so there's two running gags, which are really funny in the episode, where they get pissed that they keep breaking out into song and that they want to find out the rules. Like, is it a Freaky Friday thing, or is it a Quantum Leap thing? And Scott Bakula makes a cameo, and it's a really, really funny episode, but it's really high concept. An episode that they wouldn't have done earlier.
Yeah.
Like, early seasons were great, but it was just them in the bar.
Yeah.
Kind of, they didn't really come up with schemes or anything until really Danny DeVito's character came on. And then there's one episode where you just see the entire episode from Frank's perspective, Danny DeVito's character, and you get to realize that, like, I mean, you know he's a scumbag, but you get to kind of see how much of a scumbag he is. And it's just, they've taken it to a whole new level, but they still are not taking themselves too seriously. There's an episode where they go to a water park and Mac and Dee get stuck in one of the water slides, and it's still funny because they kind of break off and do their own thing, and that episode's really funny. So they don't like bash you over the head with all these really high concept episodes, but I think it's cool that they've kind of recognized that they had to do something a little bit different. They didn't change up the true dynamic of the show, which is these characters and how horrible they are, but at the same time they do kind of find new ways to kind of switch it up, and I've really, really enjoyed it. Like season 11 and partway through season 12 now, I've been watching it, and it's re-energized my love for this show. And maybe if we had done this top 10 like a month later after season 12, it probably would have snuck into my top 10.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I talked about this show quite a bit during my top 10, but that's what I love about it is it's enjoyable on a few different levels. Like, there's the lowest common denominator, where it's just funny that they're making, dick and fart jokes, and then there's like the higher scope part of it too, where they do kind of sneak a message in there very subtly and use their terrible, terrible characters as an example for a lot of things. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch.
They almost like show you what not to do, like how not to think about certain topics. Like the episode where they get electrocuted, it was just like they were claiming that racism is dead, and like we're in 2017 and nobody's racist anymore. And then they had to live a day in the life of these black people, and they realized, and they kept not understanding what was going on, and it was so clear that it was because white people you can't understand what black people have to go through because you just never have experienced that. And so I love that they did it in such a funny way. Like, they had those gags that were really, really hilarious, but they had this stronger message embedded in that episode.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I'm really glad that they're still going strong. I saw Charlie Day on, I believe, The Tonight Show, or one of those late night talk shows, because he's out promoting Fist Fight, or Teacher Fight, or whatever the fuck they're calling it now.
Fist Fight, and that looks like garbage.
Either way, I think he said they wanted them to do at least 14 seasons because it would be tying some other show. So it sounds like they'll probably do that, hopefully 15 to beat whatever record it is that they're talking about. But it's amazing the longevity that this show's had.
For sure.
All right, you ready for comics?
Yeah, what'd you read this week?
I read the comic that you thought that I would have read last week. So,
oh yeah,
you and I made a trip to secret headquarters here in Evansville, and they have like an arcade, and they're also a comic book shop and like a toy shop or whatever else. So,
and they're awesome, by the way. I don't know if we've mentioned that before, but if you live in Evansville, definitely check them out. They're awesome
for sure. So, you and I were there, and I realized that after we got done in the arcade beating two different games.
Oh, yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Jurassic Park The Lost World.
We're not mentioning that we got embarrassed at Donkey Kong. That was garbage.
I got embarrassed on just about everything else I touched.
Yeah.
So. But no, I was looking through the comics and just browsing. I had already got my comics for the week, and I saw Justice League of America. And I had, for some reason, skipped over it that Wednesday and decided to go ahead and go back and pick it up. And I thought this was Justice League of America #1, but it turns out it's under the Rebirth banner. So all of those comics that got relaunched had a there was a Batman Rebirth, Superman Rebirth, Flash Rebirth, and then they started with the number one, and that's what they're doing with this, even though it's coming out late in the game. So this was Justice League of America Rebirth, and next week Justice League of America number one actually comes out. So
cool.
The Rebirth issue was fun. I will admit, though, that it doesn't do anything out of the usual. Obviously, it's a team-up book, and like most team-up books, the first issue has to be spent putting the team together. So, again, in all fairness, it's not number one, so they can kind of take an issue to introduce the characters, since it falls under that Rebirth banner. But it was still formulaic in that regard, but like I said, also a lot of fun. So this team is kind of a little obscure. It's going to consist of Batman,
a little known character called Batman,
Black Canary, Lobo, Atom, who's not Ray Palmer. It's one of Ray Palmer's students because Ray Palmer's missing. I forget his name, but he's still going under the Atom mantra. And then Vixen, who I know the least about. I don't know much about Vixen, but that's going to be the Justice League of America. Again, this issue doesn't necessarily do too much from a story's perspective. It's just putting the team together, but there's a lot of fun banter between the characters and insight to what the team is going to look like going forward. And it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. Apparently this team was spun out of the Justice League versus Suicide Squad comic that just finished up. It was 6 issues, which I didn't read that. But this issue starts with Batman basically wanting to put a street level team together of the Justice League because they're not gods and they don't, he's basically saying at the beginning of the issue that the Justice League is great, but most of them are gods and not human at this point, and they don't understand things on a more intimate level, and he wants to put together
But Lobo is an alien.
Exactly. Honestly, out of all of these characters, Black Canary's human, Atom's human, but Lobo, Vixen, I forgot Killer Frost. Killer Frost is also in it. Lobo, Killer Frost, and Vixen aren't as human, but I guess we're just going to ignore that when he gets to putting the team together, because that's what he says at the beginning. I guess they are more street-level characters, but I wouldn't necessarily say they're not meta-human, So the one thing I do want to point out about this comic that is amazing is the artwork. It's by a penciler named Ivan Reis. And I'm really excited to just keep up with this comic because it's some of the best artwork I've seen of late. I didn't really have high expectations going in, but I'm kind of excited to see where it goes because this mashup of characters looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
I mean, I love Batman. Lobo was cool. That was what kind of piqued my interest, but I honestly don't have a ton of interest in the rest of the team.
Yeah. No, that's understandable.
A couple of them I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
But I was interested because it was just starting up, and I'd like to expand my DC knowledge a little bit. And like I said, Lobo was definitely a character that I'm interested in. Don't know a ton about him other than the fact that he's an alien, and he's pretty powerful, right?
Yeah, what's funny about him is I guess he's pretty powerful and he's an alien and he looks like demonic, but he's like probably the most street level person out of all of these characters. Just the way he talks and the way he is, and he's kind of a thug in a bit of a way. So, he really does kind of bring it down to earth. As weird as that sounds.
Cool, man.
All right, what'd you read?
I read TMNT 67 came out this week, but I'm going to kind of talk about the issue since the last time I talked about it. I've had a problem. It was actually one of the reasons why I dropped Spider-Man and Deadpool was I have a problem when comic books go to the well of one-shot issues. And I know Spider-Man and Deadpool did this back to back to back. TMNT number 65 is a one-shot, but actually, I know I'm going to sound hypocritical, but I actually didn't mind it so much because it was a Christmas episode. They had, not an episode, an issue, obviously. They had a Christmas party, and it was kind of a laid-back issue. And so I really enjoyed it because this comic is a lot more dark and a little bit more gritty than you would think of the TMNT, like the 80s cartoon and the current Nickelodeon cartoon. So I like the fact that they kind of took a step back from that, and the characters were a little bit more loose and kind of laid back and joked around a lot. And there's not a whole lot that happens in that issue. It's just the Christmas party, and it's just kind of fun seeing these characters hang out. And then 66 was back to kind of the regular story there. I was a little bit disappointed in that particular issue because there's a character, and I'm completely blanking on her name, but it's a girl fox, and she kind of get brainwashed at this particular issue, and it was something very similar to, I don't know how far you are in TMNT. I don't know how far our listeners are if they're reading it, but there's a particular story arc where Leonardo gets brainwashed by the Foot Clan, and it's almost panel for panel the same thing that happens to this other character. And so I felt like they went back to the well with that too. It was very reminiscent of that. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. But they kind of get jumped back with 67. I appreciate that. It was a little dialogue heavy for me personally. They seem to they're trying to tie in that TMNT universe comic that I know that you had picked up, that I don't read. There's a character apparently, because you know how comics books will put that like star asterisk and then you'll see this. And so I'm starting to see the TMNT universe number, whatever, on there. So there's a particular Agent Bishop, I think is what his name is, who apparently is prominent in that particular comic. Yeah, I felt like I was a little out of the loop as far as that's concerned, but I'm really excited. Slash is playing a bigger role in this comic book. He kind of comes and goes. He's not really part of the group of Turtles, and he's kind of had his own arc, which I appreciate his arc. I really like where his character's at right now, and so I'm excited to see him kind of play a more prominent role here coming up.
Yeah, this is a comic that I probably shouldn't buy because at this point I'm just collecting them and not reading them.
Sure.
But I respect these characters so much and love these characters so much and really like Kevin Eastman quite a bit as well, so I continue to support it. But I couldn't do TMNT Universe. I ended up dropping that. And this is a comic I do want to get caught back up on, but I don't know if I've passed the point of no return because it's like, you know, after 40 issues of not reading it.
I was pretty far behind. I don't think I was 40, but I was pretty damn near close.
Yeah, like I would like to get caught up, but I don't know that it will ever happen. But it does sound like, you know, there is quality within.
Oh yeah, comics. For sure. I think I said this before when I finally got caught up and I brought it up for the first time on the podcast. From 1 to now 67, you have your ebb and flow, certainly. I'm not saying that it's like 5 stars across the board every issue. Like I said, 66 wasn't the best issue, but I think consistently for a comic that's been going on for years now, I think it's fantastic, like consistently good beyond anything that I think I've read. Maybe a close second to the Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo run of Batman.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So, you ready for nerd news?
Yeah, so every week we talk about the big nerd headlines, and we're going to do that again this week. Unfortunately, this week it's more or less just bad DC news. So,
yeah.
I didn't want to give you the ammo, but I can't ignore the stories coming out. So we're going to get started. The first one is kind of funny because I just read about an hour ago things have changed. But as soon as we got done recording last week, I got onto comicbook.com and saw that Matt Reeves was in talks to direct the Batman and replace Ben Affleck. Well, an hour ago, I just read that he has removed himself from the talks. From what I understand, it's something that he could re-enter negotiations with, but right now he wanted to step away and let cooler heads prevail because I guess they were heated talks, and I don't know what was heated about it. Maybe the next story we're going to be talking about, but I think that he'd be perfect for a Batman movie, but unfortunately there's just so much uncertainty around it right now. I wouldn't blame him for stepping away until they either give him full creative control or clean up shop. So
I think my opinion is that it's probably creatively. Yeah, I know that I talk about this a lot, and I apologize, but I'm sure that you guys are tired of hearing about it. But I love Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Obviously, it's my favorite movie of all time. The director's commentary on that is fantastic. You should definitely check it out. He talks about how he thought he had a cool idea. He never thought he was going to have a chance to do Dawn. and he just pitched it. They loved it. It was completely different than the script that they had been working on. And they basically just gave him creative control. And he says, I'm paraphrasing, of course, that if they didn't like his idea, then he was fine with it and he was just going to walk away. So I wonder if that plays a part. Like, he has his idea for it. It's not what they want. So he's just going to walk away.
Did he write Dawn by himself, or did he have like a...
I don't think that he has sole credit for it.
So my thought process is, like, I don't blame him. Like, why would you come onto a movie that the guy who doesn't want to direct it wrote with... I mean, Jeff Johns is respectable, and I love that he was involved with that script.
Absolutely.
But, you know, you don't come in to shoot somebody else's movie either. I mean, I guess that happens all the time, but whenever you're Matt Reeves and you just got to, you know, play with these ape toys, you don't want to, you know, go back to just doing somebody else's thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he has enough clout. Yeah. I mean, he did Cloverfield.
Well,
he did Let Me In. He did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, obviously. And then he's going to do War for the Planet of the Apes, which, I mean, there's no way that movie's not going to be awesome. So,
I mean, aren't the Apes movies Warner Brothers? Like, isn't he...
I don't know. It's hard. I don't keep track of that kind of stuff.
I think that it is. It seems like he's one of their boys at this point, unless I'm wrong and it's not Warner Brothers. But I don't know. He'll do something amazing, whether it's Batman or not. Like, it seems like he knows how to pick them. So
for sure.
That being said, there was a rumor this week, and it was a guy at Collider, I think, was on this video, and he kept on saying, don't quote me, don't quote me, don't quote me. I just talked to some people who talked to some people. And then, of course, you can't say anything about a Batman movie and it not explode all over the internet. So it may not be true, but what he had heard was that Ben Affleck did want out. And I guess he's under contract and they could force him to make the Batman. But then after that, he may not be Batman anymore. And I got pretty bummed when I heard that, because I mean, I want DC to succeed, and I want there to be Batman movies, and I want there to be this cool universe that they've kind of hinted to in movies like Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman. But then I started to think about it as well, and you know, Batman's bigger than Ben Affleck. Batman is, if you recast him, I don't think it'd be a big deal. Ben Affleck was a highlight of Batman v Superman. Like, I did appreciate him as Batman. I didn't appreciate the decisions his Batman made.
Oh yeah.
But it's not like he brought anything extraordinary to the table. There's probably a better choice for Batman out there, if I'm being honest.
I don't think this movie's going to happen, man.
And if it doesn't, I'd rather it not happen than get a shitty Batman movie. But I don't want all of this drama around it to... And I don't think they would, because it's a moneymaker, but I don't want it to put Batman on the back burner. But then again, like, how do you put one of your hottest properties on the back burner?
Yeah, it just feels like with all the drama surrounding it.
It's like, you know, why keep a guy around that you're going to have to pull teeth to, like, get him to show up in Birds of Prey or these other DC movies, and pay him tons of money? You could get John Hamm to do it and look the part, and I don't know, somebody else that's excited to do it and excited to build this universe. I just think after Live by Night, Ben Affleck's really reevaluating a lot of things, and he probably doesn't want to make Daredevil mistakes. So
for sure,
he's going to be cautious and he's going to be timid and scared. Whereas, 2 years ago, he was on top of the world with Argo and the other things he had done. So I don't know. If he wants out, let him out. And I don't think you need to reboot the universe by any means.
I think you do, but for other reasons.
I think that we wait and see what Wonder Woman looks like, and because that's like they keep saying that's the first one that Jeff Johns is kind of overseen. So see what he's going to do with it, and before you pull the trigger on something like that. But I don't think that you have to write Batman out or make Dick Grayson Nightwing or Batman or whatever. I think that you can replace him and just go with it.
So what do you think happens? Let's just say Wonder Woman it's going to make money. They're all going to make money. That's just the way the business goes. But let's say Wonder Woman is remotely critically successful. Let's just say 60, 70%.
Okay.
Justice League comes out, and it's Batman v Superman.
Bad? That bad?
do they just start over? Well, I guess they have Aquaman too still coming out.
Yeah, and then by the time Justice League comes out, they'll probably be in production on Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
you would imagine.
I mean, Flash is going to take a while because they lost everybody. Basically, they're starting over except for Flash.
I don't know how they're not learning from any of them. Like, you've lost directors on the Batman, and you've lost directors on Flash. Like, that can't be a coincidence. So I wonder if there's too many. Like, Marvel's successful because Kevin Feige oversees it all, and he probably has like his advisors or whatever. But when it comes down to it, everybody reports to him. Yeah. And I don't know that, like, they say Jeff Johns is involved with everything creatively, and he's kind of in that role, but he doesn't have the power that Kevin Feige does. So I wonder if too many studio execs have their hands in the pot. And
for sure.
And it's just not, great creatively.
I think I read somewhere that Aquaman is the only movie that hasn't lost somebody. Lost a writer, lost a director. It's been steady this entire time, which is weird because that would be the last one that I would
Could you imagine 5 years ago they said, man, they're really having trouble getting a Batman and Flash movie made, but Aquaman's about ready to start filming.
That is really, really weird.
But, I mean, you can probably do a lot with Aquaman that's not been done before and kind of try to make it feel fresh. And it's probably harder. Well, Flash, because there's a TV show on that's done like all of his comic book storylines. And then Batman, of course, it's really hard to follow up Christopher Nolan's stuff. So it's harder to make those movies fresh.
For sure.
Let's see. Let's take a breather from DC for one story. I just saw this today and I thought it was pretty cool. So Jon Favreau has started casting his Lion King movie.
Okay.
Mufasa is going to be played by James Earl Jones.
All right, that's a good choice.
Yeah, he fucking played Mufasa already. I figured they'd go with Morgan Freeman for some reason, just because they both have iconic voices. But no, Mufasa's going to be played once again by James Earl Jones, which I think is pretty dope because, he's getting up there and it'd be cool to see that with him in it. And then I don't know if you've seen who's playing Simba yet. I think you'll like
JTT?
it. No, I think he's dead.
He's just not in show business anymore, so he is dead.
Donald Glover is going to be playing Simba.
Oh, cool.
So, I think that he has, if they just choose to do the music, which I'm sure they will, he can sing. He's musically... Really? Is he more of just... I just figured he's musically inclined.
That last album is so bad, man. Childish Gambino.
I don't listen to him. I just assume because he has that show about Atlanta, and I'm assuming there's music on it, and
a little bit.
He puts CDs out, so
yeah, he's going more R&B, and I just don't think he has the voice for it.
So maybe he doesn't have the voice. Maybe he's going.
No, I mean he'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, Simba only sings one song in the original Lion King, and I don't know. I don't know what route he's going to go with this movie.
But I mean, it's cool that he's doing that. I appreciate him. Like I like that he kind of does his own thing, even though some of what he does I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
Like the last album, but other than that, I mean, I like Atlanta. I've fallen a little bit behind on it. I haven't finished the first season yet, but I do appreciate it, and obviously I love them on Community, so I kind of like that he's branching out a little bit. But yeah, so I'm definitely excited for it.
Between this, Spider-Man, and Han Solo, he's becoming a Disney boy.
For sure.
All right, last story, and unfortunately we got to end it on one more sour, or not sour, depending on your preference, I guess, DC note, and that is a list of rumored directors for Suicide Squad 2. David Ayers, of course, going out to make Birds of Prey. The big name, and they basically said it's his if he wants it, is Mel Gibson, which blows my fucking mind.
That's something, man.
I guess I read that he's considering it, and because he's always wanted to work with Will Smith, and they've almost worked together a few times, but come on. I don't know about this dude's comeback, and I don't want to see a Suicide Squad movie directed by a guy who doesn't know shit about comics.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're obviously going to do our Oscar predictions here in a little bit. Did you see Hacksaw Ridge? I'm just curious.
No, but I am probably going to watch it this weekend.
Okay. So I watched it a couple of days ago. It is a solid movie, but man, he beat you over the head with the
religious.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he has his agenda and whatever. I mean, movies do that. He's not the only one that does that. I mean, that's That's a thing that movies do. They want to tell you the story, but obviously there's themes and certain things that they want to basically teach you. But he is so heavy-handed with it that it takes you out of that movie. Now, it's based on a true story, so, I mean, that guy probably was like that to a certain extent. I guarantee you Mel Gibson turned it up to 11, though, for that movie, and it's super distracting. And I just can't imagine him doing that movie.
No, I don't see that ever happening. I mean, it can be their top pick, but I don't see him doing it. He's going to keep going for Oscar bait, I think. The other rumored names are Daniel Espinosa, who directed Safe House, Jonathan Levine, who directed Warm Bodies and The Night Before, and Ruben Fleischer, who I was just talking about with Santa Clarita Diet, who directed Zombieland and Gangster Squad. So honestly, none of those really stick out to me. So whatever, man. That is nerd news.
I honestly have forgotten that they were even doing a second one until I saw the Mel Gibson story. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I'm sure the first one made money. Like I said, they're all going to make money.
I don't even know if you don't put Harley was like the standout of Suicide Squad, and I think her and Joker being in it and being like the punk versions was what got all the kids to go and, you know, made it popular because those characters were probably finally being done together in live action. So is Harley going to be in it, or is she just going to be in Birds of Prey? Or I keep saying Birds of Prey. I mean Gotham City Sirens. So I apologize. Same difference though.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
So is she going to be in it? Because if she's not going to be in it, I don't know that it's going to do as well. So either way, I don't know. I'm starting to not really give a fuck.
Yeah, I am well beyond that point at this point.
You were beyond that point when you saw the trailer for Batman v Superman.
Like 15 minutes into Batman v Superman.
I don't know why. I was thinking about it on the way to work the other day, and I was like, you know, I was so pumped for Batman v Superman because of some of the imagery and like the Robin suit with the Joker writing on it made me jizz my pants. If they would have saved, I know we talked about this in our review a year ago, if they would have saved like the brief look you get at that costume, or not showing us Doomsday was in the movie, and certain little things like that, I think it wouldn't have been like a critically acclaimed movie. It would have still, but people would have been like, yeah, it was that, but oh my God, did you see the Robin costume? Oh my God, Doomsday was in it, and there would have been more excitement around it, but they blew all their surprises.
Yeah, for sure. Their marketing was terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so like I just mentioned, we are going to do our Oscar predictions. It's a little earlier than we like to do it, but just the way the episodes come out, obviously this is the week before the Oscars, so we have to do it then. So we're just going to go through. We're going to skip a few categories just because, I mean, we don't really have a whole lot to say about like foreign films and the documentary shorts and stuff like that. So we're going to skip a few categories, but we're going to go through most of them. So I'm going to leave it to Tyler to read off all the nominees, mostly because I don't want to butcher all the names.
We didn't talk about this.
You always do it.
I was looking forward to sitting back, man.
No.
Good thing I already preemptively had it pulled up.
Oh, so you somewhere deep down, you knew that I was going to make you do it.
I wanted to have the nominees in front of me as I kind of made decisions, but do you want to start? We don't want to start with like Best Picture.
Oh, no. We want to build to that, Tyler. Yeah. We're in show business.
Show business. Yeah. All right. So we'll start at the very bottom of the Oscars main page of nominees. So the last thing on the list is writing for original screenplay. Nominees are Hell or High Water, La La Land, The Lobster, Manchester by the Sea, and 20th Century Woman. Are we doing who we think we're gonna win, or are going to win, or who we want to win?
I mean, we could just do both. I mean, we're just gonna have a discussion, man, and then I think we're just gonna pick who we think is gonna win. I was hoping we wouldn't have to
talk to each other anymore. All right, yeah, no.
So, the first thing that pops out to me for this category is the fact, and it doesn't surprise me that it's nominated, because the Oscars love to jerk themselves off, but the fact that La La Land is nominated for this category baffles me. I mean, again, I'm not that surprised. That movie, I mean, we talked about it when we talked about our top 10 films with Matt Hurt from The Excessive Viewer, but when you strip that down, take away the music, that's a pretty typical rom-com. Like, there's nothing special about that writing whatsoever.
if you listen to our top 10 episode, you know that La La Land made my list, but that, yes, I do also agree with that as well. So, I mean, this movie's going to fucking clean up. Like,
yes.
As we get through this, it's going to be apparent that this movie is going to just be this year's darling. But I agree that this is one category it shouldn't win that it probably will. Well, I hope it doesn't.
Yes, I definitely hope it doesn't. This is one of the categories where just going through, there was a few movies that kind of jump out at you. La La Land is one of them. Moonlight and Manchester by the Sea that get nominated in quite a few categories. And I have a feeling that Manchester by the Sea will get this one because they're going to give La La Land pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
So I think this is a category because Oscars have been known to do that where they'll kind of throw you a bone because they know you're not going to win something else. So I think Manchester by the Sea is going to win this one.
I hope so. Well, I hope that that or Hell or High Water. I mean, I don't know. Hell or High Water is nominated for a few things, and I don't think it's going to win any, but it was my number 2 favorite movie of last year.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie and would like to see it win something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Spoiler alert, I have Jeff Bridges winning later, and that's going to be kind of their token. So, by that same idea, I already have Jeff Bridges penciled in for Best Supporting Actor.
Cool. So moving right along to writing for adapted screenplay, we have Arrival, Fences, Hidden Figures, Lion, and Moonlight.
So this is weird because I read somewhere that Moonlight is actually based on a play that never actually happened. Like it was written, but they never actually went through with it. And so that's why the Oscars made it adapted. But apparently it's not adapted in other, like it wasn't in this category in other awards. So it's kind of a bit of a miniature controversy. I think Moonlight's going to win. Back to what I was just saying, the last category that we just talked about. They will give certain movies kind of, not token because they don't, I mean, Moonlight was a good movie. It wasn't my favorite movie by any stretch. I didn't really attach myself to it. But it was a fine movie. So I think that this is a category that I could easily win.
I mean, yeah, I think it's easy. It's very easily won by Moonlight as well. But I don't know. I have a feeling Arrival might get it.
I hope so. I certainly liked Arrival much more than Moonlight. But this is one of the big ones, like I said, Manchester by the Sea, La La Land, and Moonlight, that I think are going to clean up. Not Moonlight. La La Land, it's going to be ridiculous, but I think Manchester by the Sea and Moonlight are going to grab a couple here and there.
I agree with you 100%. So visual effects, Deepwater Horizon, Doctor Strange, The Jungle Book, Kubo and the Two Strings, and Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
So I'm glad that Deepwater Horizon got nominated because Matt brought it up in our top 10 discussion.
Did you watch it?
I did not watch it.
You're glad it got nominated, but you don't have
to vindicate our good friend Matt Hurt from the Incessant Viewer. I was trying to be a good person. I was genuinely happy that it got nominated to vindicate his liking of the movie because that wasn't a movie that either one of us was really even interested in. It wasn't a movie that I had heard a lot of good things about.
Apparently, we're still not interested in because neither of us have gone to see it.
I mean, I love you, Matt, but I'm not going to go see a Marky Mark movie. But anyways, I would love to see Rogue One get this, but it's The Jungle Book for sure.
No, as much as obviously I loved Rogue One more, and I shouldn't put all of my chips on visual effects, but like if Jungle Book doesn't get this, like I'm done. The only thing real in that movie was the boy. It's a fucking visual. The whole movie's a visual effect. Like
that's what I thought for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and I'm still bitter about that.
So basically, that last year was was the year before you were bitter?
It was 2 years ago.
So you were bitter about that. This year could be the year I'm bitter about Jungle Book. So we'll see. All right. So we're going to get into some more of the obscure categories here. Let me know if you want me to skip them. So,
okay.
Sound mixing.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's just knock it out with editing real quick. So, it's La La Land, right?
Yeah, they're both nominated.
Are these the two categories that every year it's almost the same there was always, like, historically, there's two categories where if you won one of them, you almost always won the other one. I'm pretty sure it's these two categories.
Yeah, so there are 3 movies that are nominated for both of them. It's Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, and La La Land. And I think you're right. It's gonna be La La Land for everything.
I think that Hacksaw Ridge did a really good job with all that. It's a really brutal war movie. The first, like, 3/4 of it is, like I said, heavy-handed religious propaganda.
I'm really proud of you for not saying garbage.
I basically did by saying propaganda. But the third act, where they're actually on Hacksaw Ridge, is really brutal. I wouldn't necessarily put it up in the class with Saving Private Ryan, Storming Omaha Beach, or anything like that. But, I mean, it did have a lot of sound mixing and a lot of sound editing in it. So I do give it credit. So if any other movie were going to win these categories, I think it would be that, even though obviously I loved Arrival. La La Land is going to mop up. It's going to get all of these little, like, obscure categories, like you said, because the Oscars love to jerk themselves off. They love movies about making movies, and La La Land is basically a love letter to Hollywood and making movies. So it's going to mop up all these little categories for sure.
Sure. Just like it reminds me of The Artist is what it reminds me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we're going to skip the short films.
Yep.
Right? Even animated?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, unless you've seen any of them.
I've seen Piper, because that was before Finding Dory.
Well, then I saw it as well.
Or Moana, the one with the little bird.
Honestly, I don't remember.
All right, so it didn't leave an impression. But that's the only one that's ringing a bell, but we'll skip it. I want Piper to win. I don't know. It's because I've seen it. Production design.
Okay.
Arrival. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Hail Caesar. La La Land. And Passengers.
So, I've been saying it the entire time we've been talking about this.
Say it again.
Oscars love to jerk themselves off. But I'm going to go with the other one. Hail Caesar.
So, oh yeah, because it's the same kind of concept.
Yep.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those won, but honestly, as much as I wasn't into the movie, I think the production design out of those 5, the best was Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot more than you did, and I'd like to see it win. I don't think it will, with La La Land and Hail Caesar in this category with it.
That's fair. So we're going to skip original song, I suppose.
Yep.
What about original score? Can we skip that too?
Yes. I would rather talk about original song than score.
Yeah, I figured. What about makeup and hairstyling?
Yeah, let's go for it.
A Man Called Ove. Never heard of it.
It's a foreign film.
Probably why I've never heard of it, because I'm not cultured. Star Trek Beyond and Suicide Squad.
This is basically just prosthetics and
yeah,
that sort of thing. I would love to see Star Trek Beyond, and that will be ultimately be my pick, because I don't think, because they're pretentious, they're not going to give it to Suicide Squad.
No.
I mean, that's just a token. Killer Croc, he did look kind of cool. So that's why they're going to give it. Like, that's why it got nominated. But they're not going to give it to a superhero movie.
See, yeah, I don't think that Suicide Squad would get it. Not necessarily because it's a superhero movie, but because it was critically panned.
Yeah.
You know, say what you will about the look of the Joker and the look of Harley Quinn and the tattoos and this and that. Like, each character had its own, like, feel, and each character,
for sure.
I think that a lot of work went into making them look how they looked, and the prosthetics on Killer Croc and the makeup and the hairstyling and all that. So I think that personally, out of those 3, I've never seen A Man Called Ove. I'd like to see Suicide Squad get it, but again, yeah, they're not going to give it to that movie.
Yeah, I think it's Star Trek Beyond.
Although 3-6 Mafia have an Academy Award, so crazier things have happened. Let's see. Film editing. Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, La La Land, and Moonlight.
It's La La Land.
Yep.
Honestly, as much as I didn't like that movie, I don't even want to say I didn't like it. I feel like I didn't like it because I didn't love it. So, I will say that beginning sequence is amazing. They should just get it for just that sequence alone, and the choreography and that stuff. That takes a lot of work to cut all that stuff together. So absolutely, it's going to be La La Land, and they deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, as much as, you've kind of not shit on the movie, but you've said what your negative piece about it, and I kind of agreed with part of it, even though I really did like it. I really like Damien Chazelle, and I know that Whiplash won an Oscar or two. I don't remember how many. At least J.K. Simmons. But
I thought it won for cinematography as well.
It may have.
Because it's the same guy that did La La Land.
Like, just retroactively give him more Oscars for that movie. That movie's amazing. But for me, I hate to hop back onto Hell or High Water's dick, but I really like
It's a pretty fat dick.
I really like the editing in the climax and the car chases at the end. So I'd appreciate it if that got it. But it won't. Let's see. We're going to skip short subject documentary, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Documentary feature.
Okay, so I'm curious, how many of these have you seen?
I've not seen any, but I did just finish watching The People versus O.J. Simpson, so I basically saw one of them.
No, you didn't.
I saw it on, this is a good plug for, we each have Letterboxd, and you can follow us on Letterboxd, but I saw on your Letterboxd that you watched this.
Yes.
But I'm guessing not one season.
We forgot to list off the nominees.
Well, that's the only
I cut
one
you
that
off.
I know.
I apologize for that.
Fire at Sea.
Okay. Haven't seen it.
I don't feel comfortable saying this one, but it's...
I know which one. Just say it, man. It's the name of the movie.
I Am Not Your Negro.
Have not seen it. Life
Animated.
I've seen that one.
13th.
Seen it.
And then OJ Made in America.
Seen that. It's OJ, for sure. It's weird because... Like I said, I've seen 13th, I've seen OJ, and I've seen Life Animated. All really, really good.
So, inform me what Life Animated is about.
Okay.
Brief.
That is the one that I want to win. Okay. But it for sure won't.
What's it about?
It is about an autistic person who grows up, who kind of becomes obsessed with Disney animation. Like those movies. Yeah, I mean, you would love it. And that's kind of how he learned how to communicate, and that's how he learned how to read. Like, he would watch these over and over again, and he would turn the subtitles on, and that's how he learned to read. And it's basically just about his life and how the Disney movies have affected it, and kind of him going out on his own and trying to live his life. But it's definitely has that plays a huge part in it. So it's a really, awesome. Really cool movie. It's a very touching story. 13th and OJ are both very, very depressing. 13th is about the prison industrial complex and how African Americans are a majority of the prison population, and how United States only has 5% of the world's population, but we have like 25% of the prison population. So it's really, really skewed. And so that's powerful stuff. It's hard for me to watch those types of movies, to be honest with you. And it is the reason why I never saw I'm Not Your Negro, because I'm white, and
very
the whitest. I am the white, and it's just I can only take so much white guilt. Yeah. And like watching 13th, you just feel horrible. You just feel so guilty, even though I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with, because they talk about slavery, Jim Crow, and all this other stuff that built to this. Basically racism, and how we have built our laws to disproportionately punish black people and minorities. And I feel bad, but obviously had nothing to do with it. And then OJ is very, very weird. Great film. And I use film in quotes because it is 5 parts. All of them are an hour and a half or longer.
Yeah.
So it's basically a mini series.
Yeah.
So how is that a movie?
They were talking about this on a different podcast I listened to, where I guess they did release it in theaters for like a couple days, just so it would probably be eligible for this category at the Oscars.
It's going to win for sure. Honestly, thinking back on it, it's a tough watch. I mean, there's just so much in it. They do a really good job of kind of building up what was happening in LA at the time, so you kind of understand. I mean, he for sure did it. I mean, 100%. Like, I was like 90% sure he did it growing up, but I mean, 100%. And there's no way he didn't do it. And so they did a good job of building up why he got away with it. Like, you could almost kind of understand the culture in that place at that time, why they could understand why the cops would possibly frame him.
Fucking Mark Furman.
Yeah, pretty much. And he does not come off in a good light in this documentary, as you can imagine.
I can't imagine. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
The fact that they have him on Fox News every once in a while now.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't realize it too until a couple weeks ago. Like he'll go on Fox News as like, I don't know if you'd call him a correspondent, but he'll like be an expert testimony or whatever. And fuck that, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you let that guy come on? But anyway, sorry.
And like the last part, I mean, obviously the meat of it is the murder and the trial. And then the last bit of it is kind of like the aftermath and then him actually getting arrested and going to jail, which I actually didn't know that much about. I'm a big sports fan and it kind of was sports related. Everything with him is kind of sports related, but what happened was sports related as well. And I didn't know a ton about it. And so that was kind of interesting, but it's too fucking long. Like, it's really, really great, but they could have trimmed a lot of fat. I don't know exactly where they could have. I would have to, like, sit down and actually watch it, like, paying attention to that.
Yeah.
But it didn't need to be 5 parts, for sure.
Do you think that they were kind of prompted to make this because of the success of People versus OJ? Why is
I would say yes, but at the same time, as you know, Tyler, it takes a long time to come up, especially with a documentary.
Yeah, even longer.
It would have had to. They would have already had to been in the works.
I don't know. There's just so much renewed interest around that case, and it's kind of interesting just talking about it with other people that just recently watched the show and stuff. And you know, I was 5 years old when that was going on, and I don't remember any of it, and I was not talked to about any of it because I was busy shitting my pants and coloring within out the lines, whatever I'm trying to say there. I didn't shit my pants when I was 5. I shouldn't have said that. but
I was gonna wait until you were done talking before I called you out on that.
So no, just for the record, it wasn't shitting my pants at 5. But it's kind of interesting to go back and revisit that now, and it was something I was alive for, but obviously had no idea, and I didn't realize that case was such a circus and so crazy. And you know, there's no wonder that it's so renewed. There's so much renewed interest.
I just remember, like, I was happy that he had gotten off, like, when it happened, because my mom was a big Bills fan.
Oh, yeah.
And he played for the Bills, and so I was kind of rooting for. I had no idea. Like, for me, because I was 7 at the time, for me, it was like he was a superstar. Like, he was, like, I put him on that pedestal. I put all celebrities on that pedestal. And at that time, I was too young to wrap my head around that somebody like that could do something like that. So it was just like, no, he couldn't have possibly done it. And then the more I kind of learned about the case as I grew up, yeah, for sure he did it. And after seeing this documentary, after seeing the People versus OJ, there's no fucking way he didn't do it.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so let's go ahead and move along.
Directing. So, Arrival. I'm not even saying the people's names at this point. I'm saying that movie. I can't say that. Denis Villeneuve, Hacksaw Ridge, Mel Gibson, La La Land, Damien Chazelle, Manchester by the Sea, Kenneth Lonergan, and Moonlight, Barry Jenkins.
This is one where I think they're going to give it to Moonlight because the Oscars typically will do this thing, and I think they did it with what was it? Oh, I can't even remember. Was it 12 Years a Slave and was it Birdman that came out the same year? No, those were two different years.
They both won Best Picture, so it wouldn't have been.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember, but they always tend to split this. Like, when it's really close, they tend to give one Best Director and then the other one Best Picture.
Yeah.
So I think that they'll give Barry Jenkins Best Director and give La La Land Best Picture, which kind of spoils.
The Academy votes on this.
Yes.
So do you think that there's some corruption there, or do you think that they sway things certain ways? Because we sit here and we say they're going to give it to this person, this to this person. But for everyone in the Academy, the hundreds or thousands or whatever it is of voters would all have to be on the same page so that, hey, guys, we're going to give Moonlight Director and La La Land Best Picture. Like, or do you think
But I think
it's just the politics of it?
Well, I mean, there's definitely politics to it, but I think that some of the voters are more in tune than I think you're giving them credit for, because I think they're all human beings, and I think they all think similar ways, and I think they understand that La La Land's going to win a lot of awards. And I don't think it's coincidence that we see these trends over and over and over again, that this movie will get Best Director, then the other movie that we're kind of neck and neck with each other will get Best Picture, and so on and so forth. So I think some of the voters, not all of them, because fucking Michael Bay gets a vote, and I don't think he's not even in tune in his own fucking movies. So I doubt that he's really keeping track of all these other awards and all that other stuff. But I think that they do think like that for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to costume design.
You're really skipping around weird.
I'm just going up the list. I'm not sure why directing came after costume design on the Oscars page, but it fucking did. So, Allied, Fantastic Beasts, Florence Foster Jenkins, Jackie, and La La Land.
So I'm kind of going with my heart. I want Fantastic Beasts to at least get one, and I think this is a good one.
I think Jackie's gonna get it.
Yeah, these costumes, it's kind of, the period pieces are definitely the darlings in this particular. But I mean, Fantastic Beasts is kind of a period piece as well. So, yeah. I mean, I like that movie a lot. I'm becoming much more of a, what is it called? A Potterhead or whatever they're called. I'm
douchebag, I think is what that's what they call them.
Fuck you. And so I love the universe now. And so I really want this movie to do well. Obviously it did well financially.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see it get a win. And I think this is its best shot.
Okay. Cinematography, Arrival, La La Land, Lion, Moonlight, and Silence.
So I never saw Silence. I wanted to, but I never got a chance. It was like in theaters for like a split second in Evansville. So I never got to see that, which is a shame. I think the only time, like I went, there was a day where I was going to go, and then I saw that it was like almost 3 hours long, and I was like, nah, brah. And so I decided against seeing that. As far as this category is concerned, it's La La Land.
Yeah, for sure. So, animated feature film, Kubo and the Two Strings, Moana, My Life as a Zucchini, The Red Turtle, and Zootopia.
So, a little bit behind the scenes, we've already recorded our thing for the Obsessive Viewer, so it feels like we just had this conversation because we just did have this conversation. But, yeah, I was surprised that Finding Dory didn't get nominated.
Yeah, that's really surprising because, I don't know, we both reviewed it and we were both pretty lukewarm on it, but the critics loved it.
For sure.
It did great on Rotten Tomatoes, did great overall, made a lot of money, and, you know, it was a charming story. And I'm surprised because I mean, the other nominee movies that I've seen, Kubo, Moana, and Zootopia are all worthy of being nominated, but I don't know that it's fair to say that Finding Dory is not to that level. Yeah,
the Academy tends to, and I know I keep doing this throughout this whole thing, but
let me guess, jerk themselves off.
No, not there. They tend to slot in a lesser known movie, typically a foreign film, and The Red Turtle and My Life as a Zucchini, I believe, are both foreign. I don't know what Red Turtle is, but I think My Life as a Zucchini is a Swedish film. So this year they just so happened to do two of them instead of Finding Dory, which I don't think Finding Dory was going to win. I was just surprised that it wasn't nominated because Pixar typically is always nominated for this category as long as they have a movie that's out. For me, it's a Zootopia. Didn't see My Life as Zucchini. Red Turtle was really fucking weird. It was beautiful, but the storytelling was really, really weird. I'd be surprised if Moana, I know you're a bigger fan of that movie than I was, and Matt from the Obsessive Viewer was also a pretty big fan of it. I'm becoming more of a fan of it the more I listen to the soundtrack, but I'd be really surprised if that won. So for me, it's between Kubo and Zootopia, and I think Zootopia is definitely the favorite.
Yeah, I really like Zootopia, but you'd be surprised how far I'll go to get my love for Moana out there.
You son of a bitch.
You're welcome.
God damn
it. Okay, so actress in a supporting role. Viola Davis for Fences. Naomi Harris for Moonlight. Nicole Kidman for Lion. I don't remember seeing that. Oh, that's so sorry. That caught me off guard. Octavia Spencer for Hidden Figures and Michelle Williams for Manchester by the Sea.
So, have you ever seen Lion? You didn't see it, did you?
I did not.
Okay, so I get why they gave Nicole Kidman the nomination, but what's her goddamn name? Mara?
Rooney Mara?
Yes, I don't know why I blanked on her name. She was fantastic in this movie.
She's a great actress, man.
Yeah, and I was definitely surprised. They could have switched that out, and I would have been okay with it. If they didn't want to nominate for the same movie, I would have been okay if they switched that out.
Is this the first time Nicole Kidman's ever been nominated?
I have no idea.
I mean, she maybe did some stuff in the early 90s. So I don't know. But
it would seem that she's been around for long enough that she would have been nominated for something else. But
so my question, I did not see Lion, is how is she able to give a performance when she can't move her face? She's had a lot of Botox.
Yeah, it's so obvious in this movie too. She looks pretty bad.
I don't know. So out of those, I mean, I haven't seen Hidden Fences. God damn it! Somebody else did that.
Oh,
I almost got through it. Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't seen Hidden Figures or Fences, although I want to see Fences. I don't really know about Hidden Figures. Brittany wants to see it, so I'm sure I'll see it along the line somewhere. But Michelle Williams is not really in Manchester by the Sea. She has like the one scene where she,
but it's phenomenal.
Yeah, knocks it out of the park, and that's why she's nominated for 7 to 8 minutes of dialogue. But I mean, that's the only, I want her to win, but that's not really fair because that's the only movie that I've seen. So I can't really have too much of an opinion here, but she was great in that one scene.
I think I've only seen Lion in Manchester by the Sea. So I'm going to go with Michelle Williams. Like I said, they could have switched out the two for Lion, and I would have been okay with that. Neither, I think, are going to win. So I think it's Michelle Williams.
All right. So actor in a supporting role. We'll start with Jeff Bridges for Hell or High Water, Lucas Hedges for Manchester by the Sea, Dev Patel for Lion, Michael Shannon for Nocturnal Animals, and here we go. Mahershala Ali for Moonlight.
He wasn't in it that much. Like, I was surprised, because he's, from all the promotional material I've seen for this movie, he was kind of front and center, and he's honestly not that involved in the movie.
Really?
The movie, I'm assuming you've never seen it.
Correct.
The movie is kind of 3 parts in this person's life.
Is he his dad?
No.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
He's kind of his father figure in the first part. Then you never see him the rest of the...
Really?
So he's in 1/3 of the movie, essentially. So, yeah, I was surprised by that. He was good in it. I enjoyed his performance, but he wasn't in it very much. For me, it's Jeff Bridges, and I already said that. I mean, he's phenomenal. I doubt they give it to him. Again, I'm jumping to that conclusion again, making that assumption, just because he's won in the past, and I think they'll give it to somebody else. What was his name from Manchester by the Sea?
Lucas Hedges.
I was really surprised.
I was surprised too.
I didn't think he was that good in this movie.
I didn't think he was bad, but I didn't think he did much.
No.
I don't know. I don't know where that came from. And I've never heard of this kid before this
I thought
movie.
He was in Moonrise Kingdom.
He was. And I'm looking at that now. He was in both Moonrise Kingdom and the Grand Budapest Hotel. But I don't remember him from them. And so I thought that this dude was just kind of out of thin air in a way. So I was surprised to not only see him in that movie, but get nominated for it.
Maybe I just couldn't get past how much I disliked his character in Manchester by the Sea, so maybe his performance wasn't that bad. I couldn't stand his character. So, I mean, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so actress in a leading role. Isabel Huppert for Elle, Ruth Negga for Loving, Natalie Portman for Jackie, Emma Stone for La La Land, and Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins.
So this is one where I'm just going to go to my default La La Land, so it's Emma Stone, just because I think that's the only movie I've seen.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I've never seen Florence Foster Jenkins. I mean, if Meryl Streep acts in something one year, does it just like she has to be nominated?
I think so. I think it's like they're legally obligated to do so.
No, that's crazy. But
where's Amy Adams, man?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, everybody loved Arrival so much. Or are you talking about for Batman v Superman?
Well, obviously, Batman v Superman. Go fuck yourself. No, I mean she carried that movie. That movie is not the same.
Yeah.
That movie,
It is mostly
borders on boring if you don't get that strong performance from your lead actress, and she knocked it out of the park.
That movie is on her shoulders.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like Jeremy Renner doesn't do much in it.
Nah.
All right. So actor in a leading role: Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea, Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling for La La Land, Viggo Mortensen for Captain Fantastic, and Denzel Washington for Fences.
For me, it's Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah, we talked about that movie and we talked about how depressing it is, and we both agreed that we'll never watch it ever, ever, ever again. But I really would like to see Casey Affleck get it. I thought he was really great in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's another movie where it is just a movie of emotion, and if you don't have the person knock it out of the park that's playing that role, then it borders on, like, pretty boring.
There's just so many layers to that person, and they're all painful, and you could just see it on his face throughout the whole movie. And I really liked his dynamic with the kid. I thought there was few scenes where it was almost kind of like a bromance, and I appreciated that. So there's different parts of the performance that I really liked.
Yeah. All right. So last but certainly not least, probably the biggest category, Best Picture. So we have Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight. Really going for it with the 9 nominations.
Yeah, I think we've had this discussion before. I don't get why there's just not 10 every year.
Yeah, you're telling me there's not 10 quality movies every year that could possibly be a Best Picture? Like, you're exactly right.
Yeah, throw in Zootopia. But then that kind of gives away the Best Animated, because logically, the only one that's nominated for Best Picture would have to win Best Animated.
Didn't they do that with Up?
Yes.
I believe.
And that was like the home run of home runs.
Yeah.
So, I think that might be the only one that... No? Was Toy Story 3 nominated as well? I want to say there's 2. I know Up was for sure.
Maybe Toy Story was.
I thought Toy Story 3 was. But anyways.
So my question to you before we get into that, if you had to pick a 10th movie for your Best Picture noms, what would you pick?
Well, I mean, going off my favorite movies, it's Rogue One. But like I said, Zootopia would be kind of my default answer. So, yeah.
I'm trying to think of one that makes sense, because, I mean, Rogue One makes sense to us, but it obviously doesn't make sense to the Academy, and I don't know that any Star Wars movie ever will. So, it's tough, but I think Zootopia is a solid pick as well. Anyways, Best Picture, it's going to be La La Land.
Yeah, it's going to be La La Land. I've seen everything but Hidden Fences.
Nope.
I purposely said it wrong because I haven't seen Fences or Hidden Figures.
I just got so happy. I was like, "You fucker, you did it too."
No, I did it on purpose.
Damn.
Yeah, I haven't seen those two. Like I said, Lion didn't really blow me away. I don't know. I didn't connect with that movie. Hacksaw Ridge, like I said, is really heavy-handed in the first about 75% of it. The war stuff was really effective. So it's a good 1/3 of a movie, I guess. Arrival, I loved. It has absolutely no chance of winning this. La La Land is probably, I wouldn't even say my least favorite of the movies I've seen, because Lion would probably be my least favorite of the ones that I've seen. But, I mean, they love to jerk each other off, and it's a movie about making movies, so they're definitely going to give it to La La Land. If I were to pick, like, a dark horse, it would be Moonlight. Okay.
So my question to you about La La Land is, we've gone on and on about it and jerking each other off, and not us.
Not us. No.
Anyways, do you think that this movie would be as, I don't want to say critically loved, because I think the critics would have still loved it, but do you think it would have been this Academy Awards darling if it had a different ending? Would it be like I don't want to give anything away, but a happier ending?
No.
I agree. I almost feel like you can't win Best Picture if it's that movie with a happy ending, because then it is a rom-com.
Yeah, I was just going to say, then it's your stereotypical rom-com.
With music and dancing.
Yes, which I already think it is. It doesn't have the cheery ending, though.
Yeah. So that is it, man. That is
All right,
the last category. So it's going to be La La Land for everything, and me and you jerking each other off. So.
Stop saying that. Stop saying that. All right, so the last segment is Nerd Favorite. Tyler and I take turns asking each other what our favorite blank is. Obviously, the category changes from episode to episode. I'm actually going to change it up a little bit. We just talked for the last, it seems like 45 minutes about the Oscars. I wanted to ask you, and I think you might have already kind of hinted at your answer earlier, but basically my question is, what movies / categories are you going to point to this year that I don't care what happens in the Oscars as long as this movie wins this category? And I think I already kind of know your answer, but my answer is Zootopia for Best Animated. I just think it's, like I said, I do like Kubo. I didn't like Moana as much as you, but I think it's the home run of home runs as far as I'm concerned. I love the category. Tyler and I are big fans of animated movies, and we both love this movie a lot. So if this doesn't win it, it's a shame, man. I mean, I could see Kubo or Moana, but if it's like The Red Turtle, fuck that movie. So yeah, it's Zootopia for me.
Okay, so I am actually going to throw a curveball.
Okay, I assumed it was Jungle Book with visual effects.
I kind of played that up quite a bit, and that is definitely one of them. But going into this question, like once you phrased it and you just told me and asked me that, the one thing shot to my brain, and it's actually one of the categories we skipped.
Okay.
So that's kind of interesting, right? So I really, really, really want How Far I'll Go to win Best Original Song. I know it's going to be the La La Land song, and for whatever reason,
that's my least favorite song in that movie.
Yeah, it really, I don't want to say it pisses me off because it's a silly thing to get pissed off about, but I think How Far I'll Go is such a beautiful song, and of course it's written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and if anything, give him an Oscar because he can't be nominated for an Oscar for Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
And the music in that movie is just amazing. Like, we keep referencing the soundtrack and just how great it is, and that song is beautiful, and I love it, and I'll be really, really, really happy if it wins, but I don't think it's going to, so I'm really crossing my fingers for it, though.
For sure. All right, so that is the end of episode 129 of the Nerds You're Looking For podcast. As always, we'd appreciate if you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. They're both at The Nerds Podcast. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Google+. Vote for us for Podcast of the Month at podcastland.com. Comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like I said, I'll be finishing up my Resident Evil 7 walkthrough. I'll be starting Halo Wars 2 next week. So it'll actually, my first Halo Wars 2 video will drop tomorrow, so the Tuesday after this episode drops, so be checking out for that. Check out our Twitch channel, which Tyler does a weekly stream every Monday at 9 p.m. Central.
Just to plug that really quick, I think this Monday the Twitch stream will be For Honor.
Okay,
which
cool.
I'm really looking forward to playing, and
have you not played it yet?
No, I'm gonna pick it up this weekend, I think, but it looks really dope, and I'm gonna try to start putting those streams, or the ones that are interesting. It's kind of a crapshoot. I'll try to see if I can put those on YouTube. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
I'll work on that. But if anything, come watch us play For Honor. It looks like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Because I was honestly, it was between that and Halo Wars 2, and I'm a big Halo guy.
Yeah.
Didn't play a ton of Halo Wars, the first one, but I do like real-time strategy games. So I was like, that's kind of what pushed me towards Halo Wars 2. But I'm kind of one of those guys that I have to play one at a time. I can't, because if I don't, that's how I get Far Cry Primal. I played like 50% of that game and put it aside. Beautiful game, great game. I just got distracted by other things.
Yeah.
And so I have to play one at a time or I won't finish it. So I made my choice at Halo Wars 2. So that game does look awesome, and I'm glad that you're playing it. Anyways, subscribe, rate, review us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, basically any good podcast you use. And you can email us at thenerdyourlookingfor@gmail.com. For Patrick Kuhn,
Tyler Hunt,
we are the Nerds You're Looking For. Take it easy, guys.
Later, guys. Let's see. Do you want to do foreign language film?
No, I haven't seen any of them.
Okay. Just do me a favor and edit that part out where we sound uncultured.